For 75 years, two armies have faced each other across one of the most dangerous borders on Earth. Same mountains, same rivers, but very different machines of war. From Cold War steel to near science fiction armor, this is the full story of tank warfare on the Korean Peninsula. The story begins in Fire and Steel with the T-34 85ths. Designed in World War II, this tank became the backbone of North Korea's armored forces during the Korean War. Fast, simple, and brutally effective, it overwhelmed early defenders and shaped the first armored battles on the peninsula. Decades later, modified versions still remain in service, fitted with new optics, extra armor, and modern weapons. It is an old war machine that refuses to disappear. Alongside it came the PT-76, a light tank built to swim across rivers and move through broken ground. On a peninsula filled with waterways and rough terrain, this ability mattered. Lightly armored but fast and flexible, it was designed for scouting, flanking, and surprise attacks where heavier tanks just couldn't go. North Korea later introduced the Type 59, a locally adapted version of a proven Soviet design. With thicker steel, improved vision blocks, and updated protection, it added weight and durability to their armored force. Even today, its heavy Cold War roots are visible in every line of its shape. Facing these machines in 1950 were the M4A3E8 Sherman tanks of the United Nations forces. The Yeezy-8 led the counterattack that pushed north, laying the foundation of the Republic of Korea's armored corps. Reliable, well-armed, and tough, these tanks proved effective across narrow valleys and steep mountain passes where crews fought at close range. As the Cold War deepened, armor on both sides evolved. North Korea adopted the T-62 as its main battle tank for decades. With a powerful gun and thick armor, it was built for endurance and sustained combat. It wasn't elegant, but it was strong, and it formed the core of the northern armored threat for a generation. This era also marked the beginning of North Korea's domestic tank production. The Chonma-ho series emerged as locally built versions of foreign designs, proving the country could manufacture heavy armor on its own. Each version refined armor layout and firepower, slowly improving survivability and combat effectiveness. The PT-85 Shinhung followed as a new light tank designed specifically for Korean terrain. Faster and more heavily armed than earlier scout tanks, it combined mobility with surprising firepower, filling the gap between reconnaissance and direct combat roles. In the South, older American tanks were transformed rather than replaced. The M48A5K received a powerful 105mm gun, modern fire control, and upgraded systems. These changes turned an aging platform into a capable mountain fighter, perfectly suited for the Republic's rugged landscape. An unusual addition arrived when South Korea received Russian T-8OU tanks as part of debt repayment. These high-speed machines gave South Korean engineers direct access to advanced foreign technology. Faster and more modern than anything previously fielded, they reshaped local understanding of armored warfare. That knowledge fed directly into the first indigenous South Korean main battle tank. The XK-1, later known as the K-1 or Type 88, shattered the belief that Korea could only import armor. Compact, agile, and designed specifically for mountain combat, it became the backbone of the Republic's armored forces and a symbol of industrial independence. After the Cold War, North Korea introduced the M1990 light tank, designed for rapid movement and surprise operations. Small and agile, it was built for quick strikes rather than direct tank battles, fitting into asymmetric tactics and fast-moving units. Heavier designs followed. The Chonma-215 and Chonma-216 added layers of armor, extra weapons, and new electronics. Each version grew larger and more complex, reflecting an effort to keep pace with regional military advances. These tanks looked more modern, more threatening, and more heavily armed than earlier generations. The Sungan 915 appeared as a massive and imposing vehicle, named after the military-first ideology of the state. With its large turret and powerful engine, it was designed as much to intimidate as to fight, becoming a familiar sight in military parades. Newer North Korean tanks began to resemble Western designs with smoother armor shapes and improved protection. These machines represented a clear shift away from older, Soviet-inspired layouts toward more modern concepts of survivability and firepower. Meanwhile, South Korea continued to push forward technologically. The K1A1 replaced its earlier gun with a 120mm smoothbore, giving crews the power needed to defeat any northern heavy tank. Improved armor and targeting systems turned it into a lethal battlefield predator. Hybrid vehicles also emerged, combining troop mobility with heavy fire support. These platforms were built to move quickly through mountains while delivering powerful direct fire, supporting fast-moving units in difficult terrain. Experimental designs followed, leading to the K2 prototype. This testbed introduced autoloaders, advanced suspension, and digital systems that placed South Korea among the world's leaders in armored technology. All of this culminated in the K2 Black Panther. One of the most advanced tanks ever built, it features hunter-killer targeting, adaptive suspension that can kneel or tilt, and fully networked battlefield awareness. Designed specifically for Korea's terrain, it represents a decisive technological edge. Upgraded versions added active protection systems, improved sensors, and export-focused designs. The K2 platform became a living system, constantly evolving to meet new threats and modern warfare demands. Variants built for foreign armies proved South Korea had become a global armored power. Looking ahead, the future takes shape in the K3 concept. A low-profile hull, unmanned turret, and heavy reliance on automation and artificial intelligence promise to keep crews safe while the machine fights. It looks like science fiction, but it represents the next step in armored warfare. 75 years of tension, two armies staring across the same border. The tanks have changed, growing faster, smarter, and deadlier. But the standoff remains, steel against steel, waiting for a war that everyone hopes never comes. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more.